Kana Kagami, a permanently disabled patient in a Japanese hospital, dies when her life support system fails due to a power outage. She awakens as her avatar, the High Elf Mage Kana, in the world of Leadale, the setting of the role-playing game she had been using virtual reality to interact with the rest of the world. She gets shocked to learn from the owners of the inn that it has been 200 years since she last played the game, and that the White Kingdom of Felsts and the Green Kingdom of Gruscalo have merged. Around 60 years ago, the setting she had played in merged into one kingdom, which has since fallen into poverty. She also learns about what happened to her on Earth from her AI support unit Key. She visits her skill master operation base in the game, the Silver Tower, because she is unsure what to do, only to be reminded by the tower's guardian that she has several children whom she adopted through the game's foster system, and she is asked to check out the other 12 skill master's guardian towers. She saves a hunter from a monster on her way back to the inn, and then passes out from drinking too much wine at the subsequent feast. After waking up with a hangover, Kana heals a mercenary who was attacked and critically wounded by an ogre when his company crossed the forest. The mercenaries and their employer, kobold merchant Elaine, escort Kana to Felskalo's capital, where her children live and where she hopes to find one of the guardian towers. She registers as an adventurer and meets her dwarf son Kardats, who then informs his other siblings, Scargo and Mai, about their mother's visit to the city. Kana, on the other hand, unintentionally attracts a lot of attention when she responds to an adventurer's guild request to submit a potion to a student at the Royal Academy, and later uses her magic in spectacular ways to assist royal courtiers, Agato, and Lonti in catching the kingdom's runaway royal prince, whom she nicknames Primo. The next day, while searching for possible guardian tower locations, Kana is summoned to the Royal Academy, where she meets her daughter Mai and son-in-law Lopez Harvey, who question her about how to make a potion similar to the one she had submitted the day before, using a long-lost method. Later, with Primo following her, she embarks on a quest to exorcise a ghost from the capital's Colosseum. When Kana finally sees the ghost, she discovers that it is the custodian of the 9th Skill Master's Guardian Tower, which is hidden beneath the Colosseum, and she is shocked to learn that the Leadale game was taken offline after her death on Earth. Kana falls into a deep depression after the Guardian appoints her as the new mistress of the tower. Kana is disgusted by Scargo's eccentricity and punches him straight through the ceiling of her inn room. Before returning to her sulking, Kana recovers quickly from her depression, just as Kardat seeks her out and introduces her to Scargo properly. Elaine later hires her as a caravan guard while traveling to Helspur, a neighboring kingdom, because the usual route has been plagued by bandits. Despite their attempts to take a different route, they are ambushed by the bandits. The bandits are easily defeated thanks to Kana's powerful magic and some summoned allies, allowing the caravan to continue on its way. When Kana is asked by Mai to deliver a letter to one Karik, who works at the powerful merchant company Sakeya, she learns that the person in question is her grandson. She also meets his sister Karina, who is a member of Helspur's night company. Kana begins looking for the next guardian tower. Qualke and Igzis, two adventurers, tell her about Crescent Moon Castle, which is deep within bandit territory. Kana infiltrates the bandit lands under the guise of transporting supplies to Karina's garrison with the help of Karik. A band of rock golems attacks the fortress before she can finish, and despite her reservations about standing out again, Kana helps the knights. Kana easily defeats the attacking golems with her magic, and based on their strength, she assumes their summoner is another player trapped in the game like herself. When she arrives at Crescent Moon Castle, she encounters a gang of bandits and their demon boss, who turns out to be another Leadale player who is taking advantage of the game administrator's absence to wreak havoc. Despite Kana's protests, The Hellspur Knights detain the bandit leader for trial after she restrains his abilities. As she enters the castle, she revives the skeletal guardian and learns that this guardian tower once belonged to Opus, a fellow skill master and her former game mentor. Before returning to Felscalo, the guardian gives Kena the tower's guardian ring and a fairy familiar given to her by Opus, as well as a large monetary reward from her grandchildren for clearing the bandit threat. Kena meets Cardats, who was in the area repairing a bridge, on her way back, and the two of them return to the Felscalo capital together. She embarks on an adventure to find horned bear meat for a high-end restaurant, but she is joined unexpectedly by Lonti and a friend named Mai, who asks to accompany her. Kena grants Mai permission after quickly determining that she is Primo's sister. In the forest, she awes the two girls with her magical abilities, including using them to create a hot bath out of nothing. The next day, at the Adventurers Guild, Shining Saber, the leader of the Felscalo Knight Corps, meets an adventurer named Coral, and the two recognize each other as fellow Earthlings who have been stuck in Leadale for years. Lopus Harvey tries unsuccessfully to recreate Kena's method of potion making at the Royal Academy, but when he dumps the failed concoction into a refuse pit, a gargantuan monster emerges. The game's event monster is summoned and goes on the attack. The defenders of Felscalo rally against the monster, but it proves too powerful for them until Kena returns and defeats it easily. Coral and Shining Saber recognize Kena as a fellow player and invite her to meet them in the Colosseum as the cause is investigated. They begin exchanging news and establishing a contact link after revealing their true natures as Leadale players to one another. Coral mentions the possibility of another Guardian Tower near a coastal fishing village in exchange for a powerful new sword and a useful ability from Kena. Kena then decides to stay in the village where she first arrived in Leadale permanently. Kena is greeted warmly upon her return to the village. The next morning, she descends into the village well to investigate a strange singing coming from it, and discovers and saves Mimely, a mermaid trapped in an underwater cave by a freak magical portal. Kena returns to Felscalio's capital after erecting a bathhouse to protect herself in order to join a Felscalio Knights expedition against the bandit threat in order to reach the coastal village Coral mentioned. When Shining Saber, the campaign's commander, performs a valiant act for Kena, the assembled knights mistakenly believe the two are lovers. She leaves the knights after a few days and returns to the village, only to find it engulfed in a life-draining fog and crawling with zombies. Kena meets Qualke and Ixes, who have come here on their own mission, and Luca, a young girl who is the only survivor of her community. While investigating the zombie village, Kena summons an NPC butler named Roxilius to look after Luca after determining that the death fog must be a quest event from the game. Before she, Exes, and Qualke set out to defeat the boss monster responsible, Kena travels to the Guardian Tower she was looking for, the Palace of the Dragon King, whose guardian accepts her as its new master now that the threat has been removed. Kena takes Luca and Roxilius with her after adopting her as a new daughter. Kena takes Luca to the capital of Felscalo to meet her other children and friends. She also receives a wagon as a gift from Eline for her previous services, and Roxilius' counterpart, the werecat maid Roxine, is summoned to assist her in her new home. Kena and her entourage set out for the remote village after converting the wagon into a self-propelled golem, where she introduces Luca to the locals, who promptly prepare a welcome party for her. The villagers give Kena a small plot of land the day after the party, on which she uses her magic to construct her new home. Kena fulfills a promise to Lit by taking her and Luca on a flying tour across the land after she, Luca, Roxilius, and Roxine have more or less settled in. Like and subscribe. See you on the next one.